Citadels is a fascinating game in that it comes in two forms: the Classic Edition, released in 2000, and the 2016 reprint, both of which are being sold today for $20 and $30 respectively. For the purposes of this review, I will be taking a look at the more recent of the two. This edition of Citadels comes with 27 character cards and tokens, 5 additional tokens for character abilities, 30 gold pieces, 84 district cards, a rulebook, and this fantastic crown. The character cards are huge and do the new artwork justice, showing off the creative and eye-drawing depictions that stand out even on the much smaller tokens. The coin tokens, while plain and simple, feel satisfying to hold and look rather appropriate. The district cards communicate the necessary information easily while still providing some flavor to the Citadel's world. The rulebook, while long-winded, provides information for just about every question a player might have, not just for the basic rules, but how all the different characters interact with one another, resolving just about any dispute. And of course, the crown is awesome and feels immensely gratifying to receive in-game.
Oh, take your crown! Take your crown! You should just put the gold in the crown, so you know it's like...
The insert, unfortunately, is what I've come to expect, and the box, while thin, is frankly too big, so I've transferred my copy to the much smaller and easier to carry Hero Realms box while downloading the rules digitally. In Citadels, players are competing to create the best city possible. The game ends when one player successfully has 7 buildings in their city at the end of a round. Then, players tally up their points, and whoever has the most points wins. The game is played in 2 phases, a selection phase and a turn phase. In the selection phase, players take turns, starting with the player who holds the crown, secretly selecting a character to hire to help them develop their city that turn. Depending on the player count, some cards will already be discarded before the round starts. Once everyone has selected, the players will make a roll call, starting with the number 1.
Number 8. Wow, why am I not surprised?
You warmonger!
Oh my god! He picked the military again? Jason? How could you? I did not see this coming at all. What a twist!
When the number associated with your character is called, you take your turn, which involves 3 stages. First, players take their income, which is either 2 gold or 1 card, drawing 2 and selecting one of the cards to keep. Then, players can choose to build a card out of their hand if they desire. The amount of gold spent to build these cards will count as victory points endgame. Each card has a symbol associated with it, designating a building type with that card. Having a set of all 5 types endgame will net you extra victory points. Additionally, some of these cards, the unique districts, will provide extra abilities that can be used, potentially providing a player with more points.
Then I'm going to use my laboratory to discard a card for 2 coins.
I'm going to play the DD card and destroy your laboratory.
The last thing a player can do on their turn is use their character's ability. This can be done at any time during their turn, unless their role otherwise specifies a time, with some effects taking place during other people's turns. Once everyone has revealed their roles and taken their turns, all the role cards are recollected, shuffled, and passed to whoever has the crown, and a new round begins. This will continue until someone successfully builds 7 buildings in their town. Whoever does so first gets 4 points, whereas every person who does so later gets 2. After a round concludes and someone has their completed city, whoever has the most points wins. Playtime can vary dramatically based on the number of players. While the box suggests a game will take between 30 minutes to an hour, I've had 7-player games last well over that 1 hour mark. Citadels is a classic game that's clearly lasted this long for a good reason. It's simple yet strategic, which is a very difficult niche to hit that I personally love in seeing in any game that I play. Citadels, you're taking your income, you're potentially building a building, and then you're using your character's ability, and that's it on every turn. But how you make those choices, which type of income you choose, which character you select, can make a dramatic difference on how well you do in the game. And there's such variety in this game and replayability just in terms of how many character cards are available in this game, the different districts that you'll include in each match. You know, every game is going to feel slightly different. There is also the aspect of you can make this game as aggressive or passive as you want. Depending on how you want to set up the game, you can make this game be very sort of take that oriented, trying to screw over your friends, which depending on your gaming group can be very compelling or not, but you can customize this game to either include those elements or not, depending on how you feel. That being said, there are definitely some sizable drawbacks to this game, namely the setup. Setup for this game can take forever because you have to pick the character cards that you're going to select for this game, pick the districts of those cards, and there are you know, pre-selected options in the rulebook that you can use, which is fine, but then you have to paw through all of the cards and find those character and district cards to include them in the game with the regular district cards. And then you have to find the tokens for those character cards to lay out in the center. You've got to shuffle everything together reasonably, and then you're going to have to explain the specific character cards for that game to everyone at the table. As I said, every game is going to be different, but that also means you almost have to relearn the game each time you play, because the character cards can play very differently. During the game, you're going to find situations where certain characters interact with other characters, and you're going to have to check the rules a few times to sort of check and see how those characters interact. Because every setup is different, there are different characters that have very unique rules, and when those characters interact with each other, very odd things can happen depending on what rules are in play. And so you are going to have to reference the rules you know, on occasion in terms of that to sort of remedy that. Luckily, the rulebook is pretty well organized and explains everything nicely, so it's not too difficult, but having to pause the game for that sort of, you know, minute detail can be frustrating.
While the art is actually nice on the cards, it seems like something that if you're in a party situation, you're going to get lost in. It's going to kind of kill the mood, unfortunately.
Well, it's also, it feels like a more game that you play while doing other things, like a distraction rather than something you're actually doing.
Right.
I do enjoy the simplicity of it, though. It feels like something that, I mean, you broke down rules pretty quick and everybody kind of picked it up.
But in all actuality, I do enjoy this game. It's pretty fun.
It's a good game. It's by no means a bad game. Overall, Citadels is a really fun game that, while at first I expected to get rid of it, I'm definitely going to be keeping in my collection. It's definitely a great game for newcomers to the genre, although if you're new to this style of game, I do recommend possibly considering sticking with just the base game rather than this edition, which has a lot more components in it and can feel a lot more overwhelming if you're not prepared for it. But also, the players who want variety from every game, this game is going to be perfect for you. It's so different every time you play it, and it's really just a fun game in my opinion that may take a little longer than one might expect, but is still rewarding ultimately. This game is definitely reasonably priced at $30, because going through the components, you have the core base game, the original expansion for the game, and a brand new expansion for the game all in one box with updated visuals, the awesome crown, which it's just so cool. It's so much fun to use. The extra district cards. Ultimately, this edition of Citadels is the definitive version, in my personal opinion. The art looks awesome. The components feel amazing to use. It's such a good-looking and enjoyable game. So yeah, that's Citadels. What do you all think? Please let me know in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw here. And please check us out on Facebook and Games on Tape. And until next week, I'll see y'all next time.